You don't need a job, you just need income. Let me explain why that is the case. We live in a world where everyone wants materialistic things. Everyone wants to keep up with the Joneses. Everyone wants the biggest house, the fanciest corporate job. I'm a stockbroker. I own my own brokerage. So I can brag at a barbecue and tell everyone what I do. And I've got a finance car, and I've got this, and I've got that. And as a result, you own all these things, you're in consumer debt, and guess what? You need a job.
The animals at the zoo become dependent on humans to feed them. They lose their hunting abilities, their survival instincts.
They expect the food to be there every day from the humans, and they become lazy. They don't go out and hunt. What does that remind you of? A large percentage of the UK population are dependents of state benefits and don't go out to work. People expect the government to take care of them in their old age. They want handouts if they are unemployed or on low income. It's all expectations, rather than going out and actually becoming independent and self-reliant. The perfect analogy that true fulfillment does not stem from accumulating wealth, but rather from reducing one's desires. Letting go of material possessions that you believe are necessary to compete with others can be a liberating experience. It's important to remember that the Jones family is financially struggling. The truly significant aspects of life should not be overlooked, and I will not reiterate this point. Family, cherished memories, the freedom to move, financial stability, personal independence are what truly matter. But if you're within the system and you need a job, although you actually don't need a job, you just need to become financially independent. Which brings us on to the next point. The system is all planned. It's all rigged. It's all against all of us. But you can play the game. You know, we're in a game of poker. We're all going to have different hands, but we can still win the game. But let me remind you, the state wants you to work the 9 to 5. It wants you to be scared, tired, and dependent. I would say 95% of the world are all three things: tired, scared, and dependent. So how can you start to take back control? Well, we're going to go through some of the fundamentals, some of the tips and tricks that you can actually do in this video, and it's bare basics, really. It's all to do with money management, to be honest with you. But we overlook the small details, which can actually work us towards a life of freedom and independence. We are going to talk about that. But let's talk about the rewiring that needs to happen first and foremost. Because if you look at this bigger picture that we're in, think about the news, for example. Think about the cost of living crisis. What does that do to people? Why do people think that they need a job? Well, if you're someone that listens to the radio and you turn on the news every day, and you listen to the recession that we're in and the cost of living crisis, you think, oh my God, prices are going up. I'm so grateful to have my job. You actually convince yourself, you solidify, you put it in concrete that the only way you're going to survive in this horrific world of where prices are constantly going up is, I need a job. You start telling yourself that it's a privilege to have a job. You tell yourself, well, I'm so lucky because look at the world that we're in. It's just not affordable. And therefore, I'm glad I have a job. Whereas really, you've been sucked into the system. Do you know how pure and how much better your life becomes, especially mentally, when you switch off the news? Do you know, I don't listen to the radio. I don't watch TV. I don't listen to all the propaganda of CNN, BBC, Sky News. I don't listen to any of it. Because it is all designed to make you scared and fearful and grateful for having a job. Social media, what it does is it tells you that you should be striving for the big numbers. And therefore, you're always chasing something else. The goalposts are always moving. You'll also have fearful people tell you that anything else other than having a job is scary and risky. Being the rebel is bad. I'll give you an example. When I was at my last job, they kept pushing us for more work. I said, you know what? I'm done with this. I said, we keep staying late because the workload keeps getting added to. We're all leaving work late, right? So I said to everyone, tomorrow, let's make sure we all leave on time. We stay united, and we make a point that we're not going to carry on staying late. Because the work keeps getting added to, and we're going home later and later each night. And enough is enough. And a couple of people said, yeah, sure, we'll leave with you, George, and all that kind of stuff. But there was no unity because there was one woman called Mary who said, no, it's fine. I'll stay and I'll do it. Now, Mary was sort of in her early 50s and she was fearful. She needed the job. She had bills to pay. She wouldn't stick together and unite and rebel to actually go against the system and say, we're not going to be treated like this. And what happened is everyone else said,
well, we're not going to leave because then we're going to be penalized and there'll be a consequence for us. And I chose to leave. I chose to respect myself to say, I'm not going to continue to be bent over a barrel, go home late. I'm not being paid extra. It becomes an expectation. But because there was a kink in the chain in the armor, which was Mary, everyone else crumbled. I looked like the rebel. But yet I was the one that just respected myself to say, no, this isn't okay.
So now I want to tie this into the fact that you don't need a job. You've been brainwashed to think you do. Most of society has been told growing up that because your parents and friends work, that you're expected to follow their footsteps and get a job. I really want you to be open-minded with this. And I think this is a good time for me to say, my video is not for those who want to remain in the job. So let me address something. I know there will be someone in the comments right now who will say, well, George, if everyone's going to go and make their own money and become a business owner, who's going to do the jobs? I don't care, because that is not who my message is for.
I'm trying to wake people up. You do know that there is more to life than work. For the ones who this isn't sitting right with, it is an unfair exchange of time giving 40 hours a week for 2 weeks holiday every year. You know that this just isn't right, and you're meant to retire at 67 years old, and that's meant to be okay. That is who I am aiming towards. I'm waking the people up who just need that nudge. The ones who are just sitting on a fence at the moment, because you know there is something not right about this system.
My video isn't meant for the wage slaves, the ones who have no ambition, the ones who cannot stand people who live a life of freedom and win by design.
My videos aren't for you. And again, to answer the question of, well, George, if everyone's a business, I don't care because that's not me. There will always be people who will do the jobs because statistically that's the way it works. There's 1% of people who run businesses and who live a life of freedom around the world. So there will always be people that will do the job. But anyway, let's get back on track. So what I want to do is challenge all of you just to make your first £100 on your own. £100 within a month. That's all I want all of you to do. Please try and make your first 100 because you know what's going to happen when you make that first £100 a month. You are going to realize it is the beginning of something very special. It's the beginning of independence, financial sustainability. Because when you realize there are literally a million ways to make income without a job, get rid of the expenses you don't need. Get rid of all the things in your life that are a financial drain with no reward. Get rid of the direct debits you don't need. Control your money. Start heavily saving. Start investing more. But start to make your own money and watch everything that I'm saying becomes reality, becomes the truth. Because when you make that first £100, you realize, I'm going to do that again and again and again. Spend more time doing it. Wow, I've just made my first £400 in a month. I just made my first £1,000 in... Hang on a minute. My 9-to-5 job is only £2,000 a month. If I double it, I've replaced my income. If I've replaced my income, I gain back my time. I can then spend more time with my family. If I commit fully to enhancing every aspect of my life, socially, mentally, physically, and financially, I could potentially achieve an annual income in the 5-figure range independently. Achieving a 5-figure income sets a solid foundation, making the transition to a 6-figure income attainable. To successfully cultivate an entrepreneurial mindset and establish your own contemporary online business, you will find all the necessary resources and guidance at your disposal. There is a common misconception that one needs substantial funds to generate income, but this is not necessarily true. Gumtree and Facebook Marketplace often feature items available at low prices for quick sales, which can be resold for a profit. Additionally, you may come across free items that providing an opportunity to start generating revenue without any initial investment. You are not reliant on bank loans or wealthy parents. What you truly need is self-motivation and confidence. These elements are crucial to your success. Your mindset plays a vital role in shaping your journey. Surrounding yourself with successful individuals is essential for your growth. I strongly encourage you to connect with other business owners and entrepreneurs. If you're unsure where to start, utilize online resources such as Google for networking events, as well as gatherings focused on investment ideas. Consider foregoing that curry or pizza this weekend. Instead, invest that money into your next opportunity and build connections. I am fully immersed in this experience. The individuals who react with irritation and anger to my revelations about the lies are the individuals within the system often come to the realization that they are unable to alter their way of life. Individuals who consistently take on essential roles in the workforce will always be present.
Aye, that's true.
Therefore, strive to earn your first £100 and aim to be among the top 1%. Embrace the opportunity to break free from the constraints of wage dependency and prioritize living life to its fullest potential.